Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Maggie Moreland and I am currently a holistic health practitioner, and on this channel in the past I've talked all about women's health, holistic health, and pregnancy preparation. It's actually been quite some time since I have recorded a video, just about a year. And a lot has changed since then. I am currently studying to become a childbirth educator as well as a doula, and I am pregnant with my first child, which is really exciting. So in today's video, we're going to talk all about my first trimester symptoms, and kind of just a little recap. And if you like what you see here, feel free to like and subscribe to follow my pregnancy journey along. So I'm actually recording this video a little late, and by a little late I mean a lot late. I'm currently 25 weeks pregnant, so almost in the third trimester. So I'll be posting this first trimester video, and then soon after there will be a second trimester recap video as well. But I wanted to just jump right into my experience and kind of just tell you a little bit about my pregnancy so far. So I wasn't, or Keith and I, my fiance and I, we weren't trying to have a baby. But at the same time, we weren't not trying to have a baby. About a month before conception, Keith and I actually had a conversation because I've kind of had baby fever for a year or so now, and we kind of came to terms with the fact that if my body was saying like, hey, I think it's time to have a baby, then it might be time to have a baby. So we kind of stopped using any kind of protection, and we're like, well, if it happens, like, we're ready for that next step. And it's funny because right after we had that conversation, when I ovulated, we got pregnant with our current baby, which is really exciting. So the first symptom that I noticed was my breasts were so sore, like so tender to the touch, and the nipples were sore. Like, I couldn't touch them, Keith couldn't touch them. I couldn't rub them. Putting the bra on was kind of uncomfortable. So at that point I was like, okay, something might be up. I didn't have a missed period yet, but like I said, I knew that we weren't using protection, so I was like, maybe I'm pregnant. So I went out and I got pregnancy tests, and I took one pregnancy test, and this was probably a week before my missed period, and the faintest line showed up on the pregnancy test, and I was like, Keith, do you see this? And he was like, yeah, there was definitely a line there, especially when you like tilted it in the light a little bit. So we were really excited. I'm pretty sure I took like 2 more pregnancy tests that day, and then I was like, okay, I'm not gonna take any more pregnancy tests. Let's see if I miss my period. Like, I might not be pregnant, this could be a fluke, you know? And then sure enough, about a week later, no period, never showed up. I ended up taking 3 more pregnancy tests, and at this point the line on the test was super dark. It was definitely there, not going anywhere. And I was like, okay, I'm definitely pregnant. Yeah, which was super exciting. We were both very excited at first. And also, I have notes down here, so if I keep looking down, it's because I'm just looking at my notes. So yeah, we were super excited in the beginning, and then there was this period between like missing my period, taking the pregnancy test, and kind of like having a doctor's appointment / ultrasound, where I was like, maybe I'm not really pregnant. You know, I didn't really have too many other symptoms. And then the nausea set in. So I guess my second pregnancy symptom was just severe nausea. And it wasn't just morning sickness. They call it morning sickness, but let me tell you, it lasts all day. So I was just nauseous. Any smell would make me nauseous. Looking at food would make me nauseous. The thought of food would make me nauseous. And I was actually throwing up maybe 3 or 4 times a day. And it was just not fun. So if you are currently in your first trimester and experiencing all day nausea, morning sickness, whatever you want to call it, you will get through it. I know it is very hard, but you will get through it. And my mom, I guess, I'm not sure if this is actually a fact or if she was just trying to reassure me, but she said that morning sickness and like being super nauseous and stuff is actually a really good sign, because it's just a sign that your body is producing all the hormones and stuff like that. So that's kind of a thought to, like, a silver lining maybe, because man, it was just so hard. And the nausea lasted for like 2 months, and I swear it felt like I had the flu, like really severe flu, or like the worst hangover ever. And with the nausea came food aversion. So like one day I'd be like, oh, I really want a buffalo chicken sandwich. Like I'd have a super craving for something. And then the next day it would revolt me. Like I'd be like, no, I can't even think about that. Like I don't want to think about it. And it was really hard because I was so nauseous. It was really hard for me to eat. Keith, he would always say like, oh, like, would you want to eat this? And would you want to eat that? And just the thought of what he was suggesting, I was like, no, like, you're making me nauseous right now. Please stop talking about food. And I felt like I couldn't eat anything. There was a period where I only ate rice, like cooked in bone broth with like eggs, and the eggs had to be chopped up really small so that I could disguise it as the rice, just to try to get some kind of nutrients down. But I would eat that for like 2 days, and then I would be like, no, like I cannot eat that anymore. And just thinking about it, I'm like so grateful to not be experiencing it anymore, because like having an appetite and actually wanting to eat, I feel like it's something we take for granted so much. But I remember coming out of the all-day sickness and just being like, oh my gosh, I'm hungry. Like I want to eat food. And it was just the best feeling in the world, like to be hungry and actually to want to eat food. But yeah, like I said, that lasted pretty much my whole first trimester. I did have a couple of cravings. There was a period where like I only wanted to eat tacos. Like I'd have tacos for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they were really good. Towards the end of my first trimester, I had tacos and they made me feel kind of nauseous, and I was like, okay, I think I'm done with the tacos. I also craved a lot buffalo chicken. Like there was a period where I was eating buffalo chicken salads every day. Yeah, every day. Buffalo chicken salads, like cheddar cheese, tomatoes, tons of buffalo sauce. Like my lips would be so spicy, like burning, because I was eating so much buffalo sauce. Which is just really funny. I mean, in general, I love buffalo, but this was like another level of loving buffalo. Another symptom that I had was just being super exhausted all the time. And I'm not sure if it's because I was so sick. It probably has to do with because I was so sick, but also because you're pregnant and, you know, you're literally a baby factory. But I was just so exhausted. I would take naps during the day, get so much sleep at night, like 12 hours of sleep at night. But I couldn't do anything. I just wanted to sleep. And when I didn't want to sleep, I wanted to eat. And I just remember telling Keith, like, I was like, I can't decide if I want to lay down right now or if I want to eat. Like, what's more important, sleeping or eating? Because that's just how I felt. I only had the energy to do one or the other thing. I also experienced a little bit of anxiety and depression in the first trimester, and I'm sure it was partially related to being pregnant and just like having your hormones be all over the place, because, you know, in the first trimester, the placenta isn't fully developed yet. So instead of the placenta kind of like being the little hormone factory and it being contained there, you're actually pumping these hormones all throughout your body, which can make you feel sick and just make your mood go crazy. But yeah, I was a little bit anxious, you know, partly just about being a new mom and like being like, I don't really know what to do, a little sad, and just felt weird. But then again, I also wasn't eating the same foods that I normally eat, and I am pretty sensitive to different foods, so it could have also been just not eating my typical diet, just making my moods a little bit different. I'm sure it's a combination of the two. But other than that, the first trimester was good. I decided to go with a birth center to have this baby, just because I wasn't ready to like fully plunge into just home birthing. So the birth center, it's really close to my house, and I really like the people that work there. I had a bad experience at another birth center we went to at first, so I would definitely say, you know, if you don't feel super good about like the doctor or the midwife, or you know, where you're having the baby, maybe explore other options, because, you know, I think it's really important to be comfortable at the place that you're giving birth and with the people that will be there to assist you. And then we also had around 11 weeks, my first ultrasound, kind of like the confirmation ultrasound, and to kind of tell me the due date. And that was really good. It was quick. I didn't really want the ultrasound to be super long, but they did measure the baby and everything looked good at that point. The heartbeat looked good, and they confirmed the due date of October 28th. So yeah, that was super exciting. That also kind of like really put everything together for me after I saw the baby on the screen. And got pictures. I was like, okay, there's definitely a baby in there. Like, we're definitely having a baby. I'm definitely pregnant. I'm not just going crazy over here with all these symptoms. But yeah, overall, it was tough. But like being where I am now, I would say 100% that I'd do it again, because I know that it'll be worth it in the end. And it felt like time was creeping by so slow in that first trimester because I didn't feel super good all the time. But now, like, time is just going by so fast. Like, I can't believe that soon I will be in the third trimester, which is crazy. I in the first trimester, like, I didn't start to have a belly at all. Being 25 weeks, I have just a little belly right now. They do say first time moms, it takes a little bit longer to show. I definitely felt like my body was changing, and I did take some pictures too. And you can see that my body does change just a little bit in you know, my lower abdomen area, but nothing super crazy. I did lose a little bit of weight just from being super sick there in the first trimester, but I've been gaining weight normally now, which is really good. And then I just wanted to share also, aside from my experience, a couple things that really helped me in my first trimester. So like 5 tips for the first trimester. The first tip is kind of a couple things, but allow yourself to slow down. And if you're a working mom like I am, you know, it can be really hard to continue to go to work when you're not feeling good. And thankfully I was able to cut my hours back at work, and they were very understanding of the fact that I was pregnant and extremely sick. So I just slowed down. My body said, hey, you need to slow down. I cut my hours back at work, and I was able to, you know, come home and rest and really just be present with all that I was feeling. And in addition to slowing down, just like, don't be so hard on yourself. I know for me, I had a lot of guilt in the first trimester because I'm a person who typically eats very well, and I feel best when I'm eating a nutritious diet, and I just wasn't able to eat any of the things that I normally eat. So I was eating a little bit junkier than normal, and I just felt bad about it. But I think overall it was just important for me to be getting food in my body. So just don't be so hard on yourself about certain things, because at this time, you know, it might not be perfect. Like, you might have to bend a little bit in different areas of your life because, you know, a lot of things are changing. My second tip, or number 2, is having a good support system. This is really important for me because, like I said, I did have a little bit of anxiety and depression, but I also felt so sick. But having people that I could rely on, like, you know, my mom and my friends, as well as my fiance Keith, people that I could talk to and be like, hey, this is what I'm feeling, and then just reassure me that, like, everything is gonna be okay, was super helpful. So just finding some people that you can talk to and cry to if you need to, because it is super emotional. Tip number 3 is having reliable resources. I found this really helpful in the first trimester, just because you really have no idea what is going on. The first resource that I used was the What to Expect app. There are tons of other pregnancy apps out there. I found that the What to Expect app was kind of just the most reliable source, and it has really awesome short clip videos for each week and kind of tells you what's going on in your body. I also got some books. The one that was really helpful in the first trimester was the Mama Natural book. It's just a week by week pregnancy and childbirth book. Tons of really awesome information in there, especially if you are a more like natural mama, or you want to do things more holistically. That book was great. The Weston A. Price Foundation also writes a really awesome book on baby and child care. It's by Sally Fallon. I forget exactly what it's called, but that's a good book too, all about nutrition, supplements, things like that. I also really like this Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom book by Christiane Northrup. There's a really awesome pregnancy section in here that just has tons of information about pregnancy and birthing, and then there's also a chapter on motherhood. But I love to read and just kind of educate myself on things like that, so those books were really helpful. I also watched tons of YouTube videos, just either expectant moms or you know, moms in general on here talking about their experience, and I just found that that was very helpful for my own journey, just having somebody else who had experienced it or is experiencing it sharing, to be like, oh, okay, this is normal. And then, you know, community is also a really good resource. You know, if you join like a group of other expectant moms, I could see that being really helpful. Currently with like, or I guess in my first trimester, COVID was kind of still happening, so everything was super virtual, which I'm not really into. I'm more into meeting people and actually talking to people, so I didn't join a group, but I could see how that might be really helpful for somebody. Number 4 is trust your body. Just know that your body knows exactly what it's doing and will do it perfectly. This was hard for me just because, like I said, I wasn't eating things that I was normally eating, and I just felt like I don't know, like I was doing something wrong, but your body knows exactly what it's doing and how to make a baby and how to produce the right hormones and things like that. So I think it's really important to kind of just relax and trust your body and trust the process and trust the fact that like we were built to do this as women. Like this is our biological purpose. And then my fifth and last tip for the first trimester is smoothies. I found smoothies really helpful, like I said, because I wasn't eating a super lot of food, but for some reason the coldness of the smoothie made it really easy to eat. And you can also pack like a ton of nutritious things in a smoothie, so you can make it taste great. Like I did banana, blueberry, peanut butter, but I would stick like camu and collagen to get protein and different things like that in there, so that I had kind of a full meal with lots of nutrients. But I found that to be super helpful, especially like when I wasn't feeling good. And easy, also very easy to take on the go if you are working. Really love that. But yeah, that is kind of my first trimester in the nutshell. All of my symptoms and experiences, as well as some tips that I have. So like I said, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to follow along my pregnancy journey, and we will see you in the next video.